We're then going to move on to the muscles. So Kevin, if I can get you to sit on the bed for us, facing the wall. And the first muscle we're going to look at is trapezius, and we're going to look at the upper fibres of trapezius. So what we're going to do is get him to raise both of his shoulders up, and then I'm going to prevent head extension. Okay, so I'm in this position here. My forearm is in the groove in his back, in his upper back. My hand is against his head, okay? And then I'm going to prevent both head extension, and I'm also going to push down onto the top of the shoulder. That's for the upper fibres. In terms of for the middle fibres, he's going to lift both shoulders together, and then I'm going to push down and back on both of them. Make sure that you have the bed height, the correct height, to ensure that you can get enough purchase down in terms of the resistance. We're then going to move on to rhomboids, which retract the scapula, so he's going to pull back, and I'm going to then resist against that. So both hands, one on my left hand on his left shoulder, my right hand on his right shoulder, and I'm going to push forwards. Again, I've got to be in a good position with a good stable base, with my knees bent so that I can get enough resistance. Okay, that's with rhomboids. We're then going to move on to serratus anterior. So Kevin, if I can get you to come and stand where we were before. He needs to be in a good position to be able to produce enough force within serratus anterior. So what I'm going to get you to do is put your left foot forwards, put your right hand out straight. I'm then going to use my hand against his hand there. I'm going to put my hand onto his shoulder. I am going to come into view a little bit, and he's going to push that way against me. I've got to be in a good position, so my left leg needs to be in front. My hand goes onto his scapula, and then push. Go on, push, 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 push. And all I'm doing is making sure what happens with his scapula and getting him to push forwards and then relax. That's serratus anterior. We're then going to move on to supraspinatus. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to be hugging nice and close. Okay, if we get you just to face that way for me. Okay, and I'm adjusting his position for the camera. Obviously, when you're doing assessment, you don't keep moving his position. But I'm adjusting it so that you can see how we're doing this. I'm coming in nice and close now behind him. My right hand is grasping his right shoulder. Again, all of these, you would do comparisons, right versus left. I'm just showing it for the purposes of the camera. Arm slightly away from the chest. My hand, I've got to be in a good position, okay? So the line of force is along my elbow. My hand is against just the lower part of his humerus. I'm hugging nice and tight. Kevin, if you want to just push, 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 and all I'm doing is resisting the movement. Again, as I said, we would combine that and compare that, sorry, left to right. The next muscle we're going to do is infraspinatus. Infraspinatus we would test singly, and then also I would test that bilaterally to see a comparison. Okay, so if we're going to test it singly, what I'm going to do again, I'm going to get into the same position that I am before. My palm of my hand goes onto the back of Kevin's wrist, not onto the back of the hand, otherwise that will happen. Okay, we're not interested in the wrist extensors, we're interested in infraspinatus. So, palm of the hand on the back of the wrist. Again, I'm hugging nice and tight. I'm then going to apply some force. And you generally will want to see a bit of movement, okay? It's a muscle that's not generally as strong as supraspinatus, and therefore you can push it in. I'm interested in making sure that his elbow doesn't come away from the chest wall as he's trying to do that. I would also test it, as I said, in terms of bilaterally. So elbows in, and it's important, Kevin, that you keep both elbows in when we're performing this, because the temptation will be is to use deltoids of supraspinatus to take the arms out. I'm going to get into an advantageous position, so I'm going to get elbows out. I'm going to start here into kind of mid to outer range. I'm then going to push the two together, equally right and left, and have a feel of which one is stronger and which one's weaker. You can see here with his left arm, he wants to take it away from his chest wall. So essentially he's cheating slightly. Okay, so that's how I would test infraspinatus. We're then going to move on to teres minor. Teres minor, very similar to infraspinatus, but what I'm also interested in is getting Kevin to adduct. So I'm going to push you in here, okay, and also at the same time I'm going to try and pull your elbow out. But what I want you to do is to pull your elbow against your side there, but also trying to push away at the same time. Okay, so when we're ready, combine the movement, good, and slowly relax. Again, we would compare right versus left. We're then going to move on to subscapularis, very similar to infraspinatus. We test this on one side unilaterally, and then we test it bilaterally. So, I'm interested again, got to get in nice and close to your patient, hand there, okay, and I'm going to place my flat of my hand on the inside of his wrist, and then what I'm going to do is attempt to pull your wrist outwards, and what I want you to do is to pull your wrist across your body. Okay, so pull in and relax. Again, I'm going to test that bilaterally, so keeping your elbows in, which isn't so much of a problem on this one. Just turn you slightly to the side. My hands go on both. I'm nice advantageous position. You're going to pull both your wrists together, and I'm going to try and pull them apart, and then slowly relax. Okay, that's testing bilaterally subscapularis. Deltoid, when we're looking at deltoid, we're going to do the anterior and the posterior fibres, and the easiest way to do that is to do this bilaterally. So arms up for us, okay, arms out to the side, elbows out to the side. I'm going to push Kevin, we're going to down and back for the anterior fibres, and then we're going to pull them forward and down for the posterior fibres. What's important, as you can see, is that we need to be in a good position in terms of Kevin with his left foot forwards, with my left foot forward, so I can provide enough resistance. Hands onto the back, okay? So, sorry, onto the front of the humerus, the inferior, so you've got a better lever. I'm then going to push you down and back, resist against me. Good, I'm feeling bilaterally. I'm then going to pull you down and forwards, and relax. And we get an idea of deltoid anterior and posterior fibres. Pectoralis major, clavicle and sternal fibres. So the clavicular fibres are going to push up, okay? So I'm interested in pushing both up together, and I'm looking for the clavicular part of the muscle. So with pectoralis major, so I'm going to push down in terms of on the back of your wrist. Again, I'm not on the hands. I make sure that I'm on the lower end of the forearm with the hands in a pronated position, like so. Both together. My elbows need to be up, okay? And then you're going to try and push both up, okay? And push, 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 push. And we can see those working there. And then slowly relax. To go into the sternal fibres, I'm going to come onto the underneath side, both again. And now again, I'm going to get my elbows out to give me an advantage, okay? And then Kevin's going to push down both together. Push, 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 push. If you need to, and you find that they are beating you, just change your hand hold, okay? And I'm now underneath him. So there's no way that Kevin's going to push me down. So now if you push down, he can't push down any further than me, okay? That's looking at the pectoralis, clavicular and sternal fibres. Latissimus dorsi, or dorsi, what I'm looking for is to put his left hand onto my left shoulder. Again, it's important that we get him his good base of support, a nice wide base of support so he can generate enough force. I also have to have that as well. And what I'm going to ask you to do is to push from a slightly abducted position, down and back, maintaining your body position as you are. So, are you ready? You're going to push down into my shoulder, push, 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 go on, down and back, down and back, down and back, down and back, and I can just resist him. Get a feeling for how much strength he's got, and then I'm going to compare that to the other side. We're then going to look at long-headed biceps brachii. So, this works across two joints. It works across the front of the shoulder, but also across the elbow. So I need to place my hand below the elbow. I'm going to put my right hand to stabilise, and then I'm going to get him to push, and I'm going to try and push you down and back. Okay? So I'm in a good position again. My elbow's up to be able to get enough force, and then I can push and push down, and then slowly relax. That's for biceps brachii. We're then looking at triceps brachii. This position, I put one hand underneath the elbow, one hand underneath the wrist, okay? And all you're going to do is push down, put your wrist downwards, so pushing down onto my left hand. So push down, push, 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 and slowly relax. That completes the muscle tests.